So, with this, let's actually go over. I'm just going to read basically the entire paragraph or just a statement, and then I will give my overall thoughts and talk about how kind of my content's going to be utilized as I go. So, I'm going to read this, okay? Separate build announcement instructions on transferring accounts. D4DJ fans, thank you for supporting D4DJ Groovy Mix. We'd like to announce that the English version of D4DJ Groovy Mix will be a separate application from the current Japanese version, which basically means that they will not be housing the same players, and it will be specifically a different download of uniqueness. For example, you can see some examples on this with Bang Dream, Japanese and English servers being different, Sci-Fall Stars, etc. We realize that this goes contrary to prior announcements we have made. This is referring to the first announcement of this, which may have caused players to start accounts in the Japanese version of the game. Would like to apologize for the misinformation and resulting confusion. I just decided I did not really have this mindset bear in mind. I just made the account because I wanted to play in JP and play it early. Decision to split both versions of this game was due to licensing issues pertaining to music and collaboration events in-game. In the early stages of development, D4DJ Groovy Mix was planned to be a single app, in line with our mission to make the franchise as accessible to the international audience as possible. This was alongside other efforts such as the localization of content, anime, simulcast, and more. Fortunately, as the development proceeded, the realities of content licensing proved too difficult to surmount and resulted in this decision. Regrettably, this also means that certain song events in the Japanese version of the game will not be made available to a global audience D4DJ Groovy Mix. Some of the examples of this include God Knows in Bang Dream was not able to be ported into English, so this is kind of like the same structure that's going to be utilized. Despite this gap in content, we will strive to deliver a product that will cater to the needs and interests of the international audience. We are committed to have the English version of D4DJ Groovy Mix run on a timeline as close to the Japanese version as possible, being that players will not have to wait very long for new events, cards, and stunts to release. So, in theory, this means that we don't know if we're going to get a complete restart, like how kind of the start of Bang Dream started, with going all the way just the same event structure. So the aim of this is basically that they want to try to get caught up as possible, but I don't think that their goal is to complete sync. That is planning to be predicted in 1 to 2 week gap, which I think is not bad overall. The only thing that's kind of scary is future collabs, for example, but I'll get to more of like my opinions on this to be later. That's just giving some overall background perspective of what it is. For existing players who would like to play the game in English, you'll be able to transfer your accounts from the Japanese version to the English version. We have tried our best to ensure that all your data may be ported over smoothly to the global version, barring certain event items that are unavailable in the English version, in which case you will receive the appropriate compensation for them. Once again, we would like to thank you for your support and patience. If you have any queries, we have prepared a list of FAQ, which I'll go over. Alternatively, you may reach out to us at their thorough email here. There's no sincerely, which is funnily enough, but this is thoroughly by the D4DJ Groovy Mix English team. Let's talk about the data transfer instructions. This is for people that for those of you who are kind of out of the loop and kind of are interested with whatever's going on here. If you want to thorough your data, which I'm going to talk about what I recommend, but I think that will also be more of a topic to do for another video via export of the stream. But this is just some general data transfer instructions they want to give ahead of time. So instead, please read before transferring. This is what I'm doing. Accounts can only be transferred for 1 month from the English version data release. So let's say the release would be July 4th. That's not spring, but that's just giving a thorough example. You can do that from a period of July 4th to August 3rd. So that's like the thorough gap you have. Accounts can be only transferred one way from Japanese to the English version. So you can't do it vice versa, I believe, but you can only do it from Japan to English. Once your account has been migrated to the English version, it cannot be migrated back to the Japanese version. So you can't double switch this, which is the thing. It's like if you move, and you can't thoroughly bring it back. Paid diamonds will not be carried over between versions. Please spend your paid diamonds before transferring to your account to the English version. If you did find a way to kind of whale or stuff like that, which I think I've seen some people do. Some people live in Japan directly. Some people have spent it with iTunes gift cards that are specifically JP. You cannot carry over your paid diamonds, so theoretically just spend them right now. I think that's like the big thing to just take out of that. Unclicked items in your currency box will not be carried over between versions. Please collect all items before transferring your accounts to English version. Basically, make sure your box is empty thoroughly. And please check out the FAQ items that are not transferable. I will talk about this later. Steps to transfer account. You can kind of read this thoroughly. I'm probably not going to explain this, but if any of you want to read this on your own, here is the link I posted in the chat. But this is kind of just a thorough general overview. And here's the FAQ. After that, I will give my opinions. When will content from Japanese version reach the English version? We currently have plans to run the global version a few weeks behind from the Japanese version. There may be some changes in the order of events at launch, but the plan is to eventually stay on the consistent pace with as a short delay possibly behind Japan, excluding certain collaboration events. Theoretically, this could potentially mean that there also could be running an event in a very quick amount of time. We could say like maybe 3 days or something like that. That's just a potential idea that they could utilize. But again, we don't know how long, first off, how many events will be thoroughly behind. But if we consider the cuts of collaboration and as well other utilizations, then there could be thorough weird gaps until we get to a potential good sync. Not like a complete sync, as I was talking about earlier, but this could potentially be a thorough idea. But their thorough event is to try to be as a short delay as possible behind Japan, which I think is going to be 1 to 2 weeks, as someone pointed out to me earlier. Will past events in the JP but be rerun the English version? There may be some events that will be rerun the English version, which the keyword is some. So with that being said, that could theoretically mean we'll be getting a lot of the originals, probably guaranteed, but we probably will not be getting collaboration clans, and I don't think there's going to be any English exclusives just yet, because I think their goal is to try to catch up as much as possible, and this is kind of like how they thoroughly played their hands. What will not be retained after transferring my account? Now, this is one of the big things to talk about. Certain data will not be ported over to the English version should you choose to transfer. Stuff that here includes paid diamonds, which we already talked about, uncollected items in present box, which we already talked about, members, stamps, titles, and club items from the Monster Hunter and Hololive collaboration events. Now, this is specifically for It does not say about other events utilization. Recently, we had the quintuples event, for example. It does not say anything here about this. So we're not specifically sure, but if anything, it also talks about here, club items made in collaboration with specific IPs. So we theoretically do not know if any of this will be thoroughly ported over, but it does seem like that a lot of the collaboration events will be taken out. For stuff that have original events utilized, I think they should be safe. Now, this was written before quintuples concluded or something. This probably was, but I am giving a thorough example that there could be a chance that some collab events will be able to, but I can also understand why they won't do this, but I'll be talking about that more at the end. Disc skins and other cloud items for redeeming serial codes. So, funny story about this. I do redeem 3 codes, thanks to D4DJ Rebirth for You booster boxes. So if I were to port in, which I'm not going to do, spoiler alert, but I would lose those if I decide to port in. New club items, stamps, titles, DJ Road Mission achievement added to Japanese version of the game after the English version release. So anything specifically special towards JP exclusive, they will not be utilized. Titles obtained from events. Now, that's a big one. Now, this has influenced a lot of people's decisions overall. Losing titles here is so big because a lot of people would rather just make an account just to go get their own tiers. And losing from past event tiers, that just overall sucks. So, past event episodes, which is more of their own events, which I understand why they do this. Purchase song unavailable in the English version. This is going to be interesting because we don't know the official list yet, so there's that to potentially consider. Friend list, I mean, I'm not really surprised. I think it's better to have a thorough reset, because if you befriend someone in JP, it kind of doesn't work that way. Guest book comments, which makes thorough sense, and official set list. Paid diamonds and uncollected items in your present box will not be transferred, so please spend your paid okay, this is pretty much just the paid diamonds stuff again. You'll be offering compensation members that are non-transferable. Now this is a funny part right here. Collaboration member, 4-star. 1 4-star member exchange per ticket per 1 4-star collaboration plus level up materials for that member. I believe that, I don't know if you collect anyone else, but theoretically, this means that you're pretty much only getting the initials, which is kind of ridiculously stupid enough. I really wish that they could have this 4-star member exchange ticket for like spotlight stuff, utilization if anyone wants to thoroughly transfer. Then collaboration member 3, 1,000 diamonds per 3-star collaboration member and level up materials for that member. So I think this thoroughly means like events 3 stars and etc. That now despite that is quite a lot. That is quite a lot of diamonds to thoroughly grind. Additionally, all accounts chosen by from Japanese into English will receive 3,000 free diamonds as a compensation for certain non-transferable items, club eyes, disc skins, etc. This thoroughly means that it is pretty much a free 10 scout if you want to utilize that. Okay, so now we get to more of my opinions. First off, I kind of saw this coming. I think a thorough problem with D4DJ Groovy Mix is their amount of song roster, which is quite a lot. So this kind of was not surprising, at least on my end. I know that some collabs could work. We've kind of seen this in Bang Dream, where ReZero was able to get there, etc. The only problem is that certain stuff we don't know if they will be green lit, which is kind of the scary part, considering that a lot of people really like the collaboration events. I think personally, as they go from this here, where is it? Unfortunately, this part right here is pretty much what killed them at the end, to double split server. Sure, you were able to go talk about this originally thing, but I think the overhaul of songs was going to be a thorough issue one way or another, which kind of forced their hands. So I'm kind of thoroughly just personally not surprised of them announcing that there has to be a second server. Number 2, I feel like there was going to be a second server only because other games have utilized it, but also there's also an argument for that with other games thoroughly merging. An example of this is regular School Idol Festival, which merged with the JP server. Another reason why this could happen, again, I'm not saying this is completely confirmed or anything, but I think personally some people don't want to see a thorough merger, at least from a JP side. But I do see a lot of people, like especially in the global scene, that want to see a merger. But some people are just more JP driven than others. So, for example, some people just didn't want to see like a thorough combined server, but I think in the D4DJ Groovy Mix community, a lot of people really wanted to see a thorough merger, which they already confirmed anyways, which kind of though contradicts as they talked about here in this point. So that's another reason why they could have not done a merger, is because they could also be upsetting a good thorough amount of their fan base. Because I think there's not much opinions also within the JP fan base. Within this, but again, I'm not Donuts, I'm not Bushiroad in this case, but that's just a thorough theory. What I overall think about it, I mean, thoroughly, I don't really thoroughly have an opinion, only because I was fine with adjusting both ways. If it was going to be a merger, I will just thoroughly keep using this account, and if it was not going to be a merger, then I could just make a new account and start from scratch. I think it's best to not to transfer on my current existing accounts. The reason why is because first off, I have an exclusive disc, and I don't want to lose that exclusive disc within that. Second off, I also do not want to lose a lot of my titles, because I do want to keep my title saying that I did Tier 1 KD first ever event. So I think if you are an existing Japanese player or have a Japanese account thoroughly, you should not transfer. I think that's at least my PSA. I think that it's best to restart from scratch, and if you already have like kind of the pedigree, it's best to not transfer. And I think I pretty much am not a fan of the rewards If I'm being completely honest, I'm not a fan of the compensation. I think the compensation, if it was Spotlight, because I feel like this is just going to be initial. If it was Spotlight, I kind of see why, but at the same time, 1,000 per collab member, I don't think there's as much a lot, but still, that's highly influential. And that, losing, what if you have a lot of disc items and club items, and you only get a fixed amount of 3,000 free diamonds? I personally do not think that's a fair trade-off. Just my 2 cents. I think personally that you should not transfer. I mean, I'm not trying to give any of this, like, persuading you this, but you can decide if you want to transfer. But I think, though, an argument for doing a transfer is that if you want to just focus on the English side of the game, then you can transfer. However, I think if you just want to focus on like a story aspect or other such of that nature, I think the best thing you should do is make an own English account anyways. Because you'll still get the same stories, you'll still get the other stuff. The only thing that you will potentially lose is the event stories in like Monster Hunter, for example. But those have already been thoroughly translated if you go search it on YouTube. So, I think that the best choice of action is to make your own account. And I think it's fine, because if you make your own account, it does help promote trying to get those thorough new players and kind of get that restart for within it. I know some people kind of are not a fan of thorough how JP is because they don't understand JP. What I think thoroughly is going to happen is like a lot of people just make English accounts and play more casually. I feel like a lot of people have really grown towards the Japanese server. Personally, at least my thing, I think I'm just going to be focusing on the English server in this. I think I'm going to be playing the JP server more casually, but trying to focus a lot more on my content, helping try to get people in within the English side. And I respect your decision, whatever you decide. If you want to focus on JP, that's fine, thoroughly. If you want to focus on English, that's also fine too. Or if you just want to thoroughly quit the game, because I think some people have unfortunately quit the game after this announcement, but I respect that, and even then, I'd like to say thank you for appreciating D4DJ Groovy Mix and playing it, especially those who have played since the D4U edition, all the way back in last February, I believe. But I'd say thoroughly, the separate build announcement, I'm kind of not surprised within this. This does put a bad stigma with the original announcement, but I'm not as thoroughly complaining if I'm being personally honest. Because I feel like that this was going to be an inevitability. Because I feel like there's just way too many songs in the game that were ported out, and a lot of them were question marks to come into an English server. You could thoroughly merge it, but I think from a financial standpoint, I think it's going to be really hard to do. Due to just the insurmountable amount of that, and kind of concerns within the player base. So, I do see thoroughly why, and I kind of just honestly feel bad for the overall fan base, because a lot of them were expecting this to be a thorough merger. So, it's unfortunate, but some stuff happens like this. This does, though, create thoroughly a bad statement that a lot of people have thoroughly left, but again, that might be thoroughly the minority, at least. I would like to see what you all think thoroughly. I think, personally, this was not surprising, but at the same time, it's just really upsetting for the player base overall. Especially to those who have really accustomed themselves to the JP server. I see also a reason why you kind of just don't want to switch out. Even then, I'm excited to see how this thoroughly unfolds. I'm not going to be focusing much on the JP side, but I'm excited to see how Groovy Mix grows from here. And no matter what version you utilize, I'm excited really that this game is being promoted towards global audiences.